Good evening, everyone. My name is Rhonda Semley, and I am the very proud principal here at William Wirt Middle School. I would like to extend warm wishes and welcomes to all of you this evening, as this is our parent information meeting night regarding our 8th grade promotion. This will be my, sixth promotion ceremony this since I've been the principal here, and each year I'm so excited to see all of our scholars as they transition to the next level. Most of them I have had the opportunity of knowing since the 6th grade. And so it's truly like a mother letting her little babies off the nest and moving out and flying and soaring and taking on their own personalities, and definitely dealing with some trials and some tribulations that's going to shape and develop their character. So I'm truly excited about this opportunity. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. You can keep going. I would like to take this time to introduce my entire administrative team. Mr. Keenan is the administrator for Florida A&M. He is the 6th grade administrator. He's also the math content administrator. Ms. Iliano, who is the administrator of North Carolina A&T. She is the 8th grade administrator. She's also the science administrator. Mr. Hall is the administrator for BSU, and he's the administrator for 7th grade as well as social studies. And last but not least is Ms. Ball Lacey. She is the administrator for House Howard. She's also a 7th and 8th grade split. But she's also our RELA and ESOL administrator. So these are my 4 administrators. However, this evening you will only see Ms. Iliano and Ms. Ball Lacey, as they are the 2 individuals that have 8th grade this current school year. Next slide. And this is some of our 8th grade teachers and support staff members. I'm not going to take the opportunity to read their names, each and every one of them. However, we are very fortunate that we have an amazing 8th grade teaching team comprised of support staff members as well as co-teachers. And this school year, despite it being a pandemic, I think we've kind of gotten used to that. Unfortunately, we've had an amazing school year. Next slide, please. Continuation of some of our leaders. Mr. Quarles is the 8th grade professional school counselor, as well as Ms. Walker Brass Dixon. It's also an 8th grade counselor. Dr. Cromer is our science IOT. Mr. O. Johnson is our social studies IOT. We also have Ms. Lassiter, who's the RELA IOT, Ms. Cook, who's our SPED, and Ms. Kenny, who is our ESOL. This information will be shared with you at a later date. Our 8th grade promotional ceremony will be Friday, June 10th. It will start at 5 p.m. It will begin as a virtual program, even though the county did make a decision that schools have the option to do in person. With the rising COVID numbers, we just thought it would be best practice to have it virtual like we did last year. However, we will have our 8th grade carnival afterwards. That will be an in-person event for scholars that have met the criteria that has been identified this school year. This information in regards to the access code and the meeting password will be shared with families on multiple occasions from now until the June 10th date. All right, so as I said, we have an 8th grade in-person carnival event. It started last year when we were plagued with the pandemic and COVID and the regulations and restrictions around it. And we were not able to do an in-person activity like we've done previously in past years. We've had dances, we've had sit-down dinners. We've had, like I said, events where multiple family members were invited to come out and participate. But like I said, with the guidelines from the CDC, we just decided to a grab and go. You know, unbeknownst to us, it became a really big hit. The students loved it, and so did the staff members. So we decided that we would continue with the carnival theme that we had last year. However, and we added on a few extra stations, and we've also extended the time, so it's not necessarily a grab and go. The scholars can, you know, stay, hang around, still wear masks, still follow guidelines as much as we possibly can, but it is a evening filled of celebratory activities. Students receive in-person awards and medals. We have a 360 photo booth this year that's new. We also have a photo station where students will leave with a picture of them with a backdrop that, you know, I guess celebrates the occasion of going to high school and farewell to middle school. We have a Kona ice station. We have popcorn, cotton candy, all of the type of foods that you would see at a carnival. And we also are going to have a couple other special surprises that I'm not going to reveal at this time. But the students truly loved it. It was a great opportunity for parents to see some of their teachers and say farewell. Also for parents to kind of join in on the fun. Some parents did take some photos with their children, and it was just a great evening, and we look forward to doing it again this school year. As I stated, there is criteria around this event that will be discussed momentarily, but it's definitely a great opportunity, and I look forward to a lot of our scholars being able to participate. Next slide, please. All right, in regards to the criteria that has been established, Ms. Iliano and Ms. Ball-Lacey have utilized feedback from the teachers and teaching teams to discuss who should be eligible. As you can imagine, it takes a lot of manpower, a lot of funding in order to really have an event like this. And I know Ms. Iliano has linked the video from last year that you'll get a chance to see some of how it will look this year. But like I said, we have a couple of surprises up our sleeves. But students who will be invited into the building for this carnival are highly celebrated for attending school on a regular basis. They have model Jaguar Pride behavior, and they've maintained strong grades. So the criteria is as follows. Students must have a 3.0 GPA for the year. That's cumulative of the 3 quarters that we have had grading for. They must have less than 10 to 18 unexcused days from school. They must not have appeared on the chronically and habitually absent list for at least 2 of the 3 quarters. And they must have less than 2 or more in-school suspension or out-of-school suspensions for the school year. I definitely feel there's a fair criteria when you talk about celebrating students for their hard work and their efforts. You know, one of the things that we preach and practice at William Wirt is that students have to understand accountability. I tell them very often, and I know my team does too, to whom much is given, much is expected. So the expectation is that you come to school and you do your best every single day. That does not mean you have to make straight A's every single day. It's just you have to put forth effort to do your personal best. And a lot of our scholars have definitely done that this school year, and we look forward to celebrating them on this evening. Next slide, please. All right, so what is a cumulative GPA? And as I stated earlier, it is the average for the year. So as you are aware, we have completed 3 quarters of the school year. Thank you, Jesus, 28 more days to go. And so what we did, well, what Apex has done, it has calculated students' individual grade point average for each quarters. And that's how we came up with the cumulative 3.0 GPA. As stated, it is an average of grades for quarters 1, 2, and 3. Next slide, please. All right, and now Ms. Ball-Lacey will talk a little bit about our program, expectations about dress, attire will be shared.
All right, thank you so much, Principal Simley. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I am Mrs. Ball-Lacey. I am the 7th/8th grade administrator over House Howard. We do have 1 cohort of 8th grade students, but the majority of our 8th grade students are in the House of North Carolina A&T. And so I'm sure most of you are more familiar with Mrs. Iliano here tonight. But we are really excited about this occasion, as Mrs. Simley has already stated. We would like for the students to come dressed for the occasion. And although the actual promotional activity is virtual, we want to have a big celebratory presence, even in our virtual spaces. And so we are asking that our young ladies wear dresses. or attire that you may wear to your spiritual service. And we are asking that our gentlemen wear shirt and tie. Now, we know that William Wirt Middle School is a very unique school because we represent so many cultures around the world. And so we are actually encouraging our students to represent their culture and wear cultural attire. Many of our students wear beautiful, beautiful, bright, colorful clothing as a part of their culture. And we would like to see that represented on this special occasion. And so if you decide that you do not want to wear a shirt and tie or a dress and you would like to wear your traditional garments, we absolutely embrace and encourage that as well. And so again, we are really excited to celebrate the families and the students, and we look forward to seeing you in the virtual world. And then for those students who did earn a 3.0 or higher, we are really excited to see you in person, but we want to see everyone representing themselves in the way that we know William Wirt Middle School does each and every day, and that is in great fashion. And so again, young ladies, you can wear a dress, something you may wear to church or a spiritual service. Young men, a shirt, tie, and if you want to wear a suit, that's okay too. And if you choose to wear your cultural attire, we absolutely welcome and embrace that as well. Thank you. Next slide. And so here we have some examples of what that attire could look like. Again, you see young ladies in beautiful dresses. We have young men in suits, ties, and if you opt to not wear a jacket, that's absolutely fine. But again, a collar shirt with dress pants is what we are asking and actually requiring, unless you would like to wear, again, your cultural attire. Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Ileana.
Thank you, Ms. Ball-Lacey and Ms. Simley, for kicking off our program this evening. Parents, once again, welcome. We are very excited once again to have our second year of the Carnival with our students, celebrate with them all of the wonderful accomplishments that they've achieved over the year and send them off in style. So I'm going to go over a few pieces of information that can kind of help you and your children plan for the evening. The program is 45 minutes long. But as Ms. Simley stated, students will be able to kind of hang out for a bit and enjoy all that we have to do. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong side. We're talking about dressing, I'm sorry. So we're gonna create our mood and we're gonna decorate. We wanna make sure that all students are highly encouraged to decorate their space around them. And I'll give you some examples of that later on. If parents want to go out to Party City and get some blow up balloons and things like that, or a graduation banner to put in their background, you're welcome to do that. We're going to use WebEx that night. So there are some backgrounds and some features that you can use with that platform to actually decorate your space. And I'll give you some examples later on. To decorate virtually though, you'll use the WebEx background feature. You'll screenshot an appropriate decorative background and add that to WebEx. You can be creative and fun because this is your special moment. And as I said before, I'll give you some examples of how that should look. Next slide. Okay, so this is just some ideas for decorating. If parents want to go out and get some of these nice little accessories, a lot of them you can find from Party City, the blow up 2022, the yays, anything that you want to kind of hang, the cellophane background, you can buy those from Party City as well. Anything that you'd like to do so that when your child comes on, they have this really nice background would be a suggestion. Next slide. If you just want to stick with the virtual slide that your child can create, this is one that I made last year. You can go into Google Slides and just design it as you see fit. So last year I created one that said you can't hide that Jaguar pride, 8th grade promotion. Next slide. With that, I gave you an example of how you're going to actually look when you appear in front of your slide that evening. So you'll see yourself. The hat is a virtual hat. If you want to download a virtual transparent hat, you can actually put it on top of your head, a little cap to make it fun. Next slide. So as I said, you can make your own digital background with Google Slide. So that's in the Google Suite along with everything else that your students use every day. You simply create the slide, then screenshot it, and then you'll add it, upload it as a picture into your WebEx background options in the settings. Next slide. So I'm going to go through some examples of things I just Googled on the internet and found that would be good, appropriate examples of your background. This is one with the students kind of tossing up their hat. And although this is not a formal graduation, it is a promotion. So if you want to use something like that, please feel free. Next slide. When you go into WebEx, and feel free to screenshot these slides as well if you want to be able to remember the steps that you go through. When you go into WebEx to add your picture, you'll go in and open up the settings. You'll see the settings tab at the bottom. So open up settings. Next slide. Then once you get into the settings, you'll see the little plus sign, right? Where you're going to upload your background to WebEx. So that's going to be what you select. Now they have some that are already embedded in the program. However, you can actually add the picture that you have screenshotted or the Google slide that you have screenshot and created to your WebEx. Next slide. And so as you see, I added that same picture that I showed you before to my WebEx. And when I come live, you'll see me in the front and my screen in the back. Next slide. Another example of some appropriate backgrounds. Of course, this is the Jaguar colors, the gold and black. That would be one. Next slide. Your children could select something like this. Once again, gold and black, but celebratory and in respect to promotion. Next slide. They might want a background just full of beautiful balloons. Next slide. So if you did choose those balloons, you would upload right into WebEx as I showed you before. And then when you came on live for your promotion that night, this is the way you would look. So you see Miss Iliano in front of all of her balloons. Next slide. Another good example of something that could be used. Next slide. Another nice background. I'm just showing these to you guys to give you some examples. Next slide. Once again. Next slide. Now this one does say class of 2021. However, when you Google this year, you'll see some others, class of 2022. Next slide. Another sample background, that'd be really cute. And always think about when you are selecting these backgrounds, how you're going to look when you get in front of it. So make sure you test it out, see how you look sitting in front of your background and make sure it looks right. Next slide. Okay, so this is a good example of a slide where you'll be in the center, your hats are kind of around you and you're in the middle. So that'd be a good example. So just to recap, once again, you are free to create your own background. Make sure it's appropriate, make sure it's festive. If your parents want to add any exciting things, please feel free to do that. We will celebrate collectively as an 8th grade, so everyone will be involved in our virtual celebration. If you have any questions about how to do this, since we do have some time before we have our promotion, please feel free to reach out to your teachers. They know how to do this, or to any of your administrators. They can help you as well. All right, without further ado, we're going to have Ms. Ball Lacey share our carnival from last year to give you a little taste of what it's going to be like this year.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me? All right, thank you so much, Ms. Iliano. And those are absolutely amazing samples. I'm so excited to see what our students decide to select this school year. Last year, they were really creative and they decorated their spaces really nicely. So we're really excited to see what this year will bring. Would you please start the video? Thank you. Thank you so much. If we can include the sound, please.
Aguilar, you have to come off mute.
All right, so as you can see, as the video was playing and the music will start shortly, we're just showing you of the carnival from last year. The students had a really good time. We had several stations, cotton candy, as you can see. The students thoroughly enjoyed this part of the celebration. As you can see, the students, when they arrived, they received a medal because these are our school heroes. They did an amazing job. This was a COVID year, and so they were able to move through and navigate that year and still come out with a 3.0 or higher. We were really proud of them and their academic achievements. All of these students did receive a hard copy of their certificate. We also had a picture group where they were able to take a picture with their certificate in hand. And they were very proud of these moments. The staff put a lot of time and energy into planning and executing this event. And we look forward to doing the same for the 21-22 graduates. The students also received a bag, if you can note the bag that the young man is holding. And the certificates were absolutely beautiful. We had a popcorn station with toppings, so the students had an opportunity to choose their toppings. And please note how this young man is dressed. He has his shirt and tie on. We were just really pleased with how our students showed up. And the same as this year, everyone was required to wear a mask for safety reasons, of course. So this will be a safe event for all of our participants. We had hand sanitizer available for the students as well. And yes, that is a cotton candy machine. And so there were even more surprises as our students exited the building. As you can see, there was another stop for another treat. We truly created an atmosphere of a carnival for our students. And that's a more close-up picture of the medals. So scholars and parents, we wanted you to have an idea of what, like Ms. Simley and Ms. Iliano has already stated, last year was our first year having a carnival for our students, and it was very successful. And the students really, really enjoyed themselves. And so we decided that we could possibly make this an annual event. And so we are looking forward to celebrating your students for all of their hard work, and you too, because we know that this cannot happen without the full force of the family. And so we're going to now move into questions and answers, and our principal, Mrs. Simley, will facilitate the questions and answers.